The U.S. Special Presidential Envoy for Peace Missions, Steve Witkoff, he met earlier today with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow. And all of this, of course, is coming ahead of the Friday deadline that President Trump has set. But in a post on Truth Social, President Trump said that there was great progress made today in that meeting. He said that certainly he and his administration will be working toward an end to the Russia-Ukraine war in the days and weeks to come. But what might it take to get there? Well, here to discuss this and more is Congressman Keith Self, who served our country courageously for 25 years before retiring with the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. Today, he's a member of several House committees, including the Foreign Affairs Committee, and he represents the 3rd Congressional District of Texas. Congressman Self, always an honor to have you on Washington Watch. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be here, Jody. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's jump into this meeting. As we all know, it's coming just a few days before a new deadline that President Trump has set, which shortened the previous 50-day deadline. So, was this a gutsy call for the president to change the deadline down to 10 days or so from 50?
Jody, I will tell you, I'm not sure why Putin has any urgency to negotiate. I applaud President Trump in these efforts, but frankly, Putin thinks he's winning this war. He has more people. He has an economy that is humming along as a wartime economy. The people still generally support him as long as he doesn't have another general conscription. He's selling his oil. I'm not sure that Putin has any reason to actually make a deal.
Well, that's a good point. And, we're all going to see it's coming down to the wire with Friday coming up. I found it very interesting today, Congressman, that President Trump actually imposed penalties over Russia's invasion of Ukraine for the first time today, while at the same time striking an optimistic note about the potential for progress. So what do you make of that move from President Trump?
Well, President Trump is trying every tool in his toolbox to end this war, to bring Russia to the table, as you've said. But I think Putin's fairly happy with where he is, and that is the problem. Because as long as he can sell his oil, then he can fund the war. He's got enough people. He's getting help from other nations. Again, I believe that it will take something pretty serious to bring Putin to the table seriously.
Yeah, that's a good point about the oil, and that's another interesting thing that we're seeing. It seems shortly after the White House envoy Steve Witkoff met with Putin today, that Trump signed an order doubling tariffs on India to 50% because they are purchasing oil from Russia. And I think this certainly paves the way, at least of a warning, for penalties for other countries. What do you think of that?
Well, China also buys a lot of Russian oil. So what do you do with China? He's already trying everything he can to get to reach a tariff deal with China. So India and China are the 2 largest by population nations in the world. So Russia, as we know, is a gas station masquerading as a country. So if we could stop those 2 countries from buying Russian oil, we could have sanctions on them. It would go a long way as long as we enforced the sanctions.
Yeah, that's a good point. Enforcing the sanctions, that makes me go back to a comparison of what we're watching now with the Trump administration, the way he's handling all this versus what we saw with the Biden administration, which quite frankly just seemed, to me at least, to be doing basically nothing that might provoke Russia or that Russia might be upset about. How do you draw a comparison between what we're watching now under the Trump administration versus what we saw under Biden?
Oh my goodness, across the world, across every domain, it is totally different. We see him engaged in so many areas, so many countries with sanctions. He is working to, and I will tell you, my call with the Deputy Treasury Secretary, he's working to bring manufacturing back to the United States, get a level playing field for the United States in the short term, bring in some dollars. But what we need is a level playing field across the world. So we've got to cut off the third countries that China goes through. We've got to sanction the Russian oil. We've got to keep sanctions on the Iranian oil, because oil around the world is a major driver of economy and civilization.
Absolutely. If I can, Congressman Self, I'd like to switch gears with you. Our time seems to be slipping away here rapidly, but another war is going on that we're all aware of between Israel and Hamas. And tomorrow, Israel's security cabinet is expected to convene to discuss expanding fighting in the Gaza Strip. What's your take from what you're hearing so far on these latest developments?
Well, frankly, Jody, just as Putin thinks he's winning in Ukraine, Hamas thinks they're winning in Gaza. They have now made this a worldwide event. They are changing the perception, certainly in the EU. 11 of the 27 nations have already recognized some mythical Palestinian state. 4 more have said they will. So they are, again, very pleased with where they stand. They hold the hostages. Look, this could be over tomorrow if they surrender, and surrender every hostage, alive and dead. But they're not going to, because they think they're winning on the world public perception stage.
Wow. And as you mentioned with some of those countries you brought up, in some regard, I think they are. And I think that perhaps is just adding fuel to the fire, so to speak, for Israel to go ahead and deal with Gaza and take it back. You think they're making the right move with that, if that's indeed what they decide to do tomorrow?
I think they have to. This plan has been in the works for a while, but the hostages hold everything up. How do you deal with the hostages? How do you, you know they're in the tunnels, you know they will kill them if you go in. And one of the major public affairs motivations in Israel today is get the hostages out before you do that. So that's what's stopping, or has been stopping, Israel. But at some point, what do you do? Do you just allow Hamas to control the world stage and turn more and more countries against Israel? Or do you actually take control of Gaza and take the risk that you won't be able to get all of the live hostages back?
Yeah, it is a risk for the hostages. I think risk, as you brought up, on the perception of the world stage with what's taking place right now. It looks to me like they're going to have to make a decision, and I appreciate your expertise in giving your opinion there. In some other Middle East news, it was fascinating to see how House Speaker Johnson took what I believe at least is an unprecedented trip this week to the West Bank, and he's now calling on that term, West Bank, to no longer be used at the federal level, but instead use the term that it actually is. That would be Judea and Samaria. Are you very optimistic that we're going to see the Trump administration and others follow suit with this?
I am. I think things are moving in Judea and Samaria. It's behind the scenes, but I think things are moving, and we'll see what happens there. But frankly, I believe that the sheikhs, the Muslim sheikhs in Judea and Samaria, are tired of the PA, the Palestinian Authority. I think they are ready to be governed by Israel and secured by Israel. I think they're ready. Let's see what happens.
Well, there were many that went with House Speaker to Israel. There's been a lot of codel taking place over there, but hats off to the Speaker and others for pushing for this. I think it's a great move. It's something that needs to take place. Thank you, Texas Congressman Keith Self. Always an honor to see you, my friend. We appreciate you coming on Washington Watch today and always.
Thank you, Jody. Have a great day.